Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be going through my top tips to make sure you come across as confident in your interviews. So before I get into the rest of the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, comment, subscribe and hit that notification bell down below. Also, if there's any specific interview question types you want me to go over, please make sure you spam them in the comments and DM me as well, just so that I can keep up to date with all this stuff. So one of the most common things that I get asked about when it comes to interviews is confidence. Now, there's not one magical answer to make you more confident in interviews. However, there's a range of different techniques and different things you can do to put you more at ease and make you feel more confident when you have your interviews this year. Now, it's important to note that some people are just more naturally confident than others, and because of this, it might be easier for them to come across as confident in their interviews. But don't worry if you're not one of those people and you feel like you're not the most confident individual. The point of this video is to give you some tips and tricks to help boost that confidence. So my biggest tip when it comes to improving your confidence in interviews is practice. Now, I know this sounds really obvious and really easy, but when it comes to 90% of things in life, I think practice is really important. Especially if you're someone that worries a lot about the interviews or isn't sure about what's coming up. If you practice different types of questions and try and simulate the scenarios, you'll be more at ease when you actually have your real interviews. And some of you might complain and be like, well, who am I supposed to practice with? Where can I get questions from? And to be honest, my answer to that would be just practice with anyone that will give you the time of day. If that means practicing in front of your parents, siblings, friends, online via Zoom, you can even ask some teachers at your schools or sixth forms to help you out. But the main premise is you need to just find someone to practice with. And let's say you're a total loner and you don't have anyone to talk to, that's fine as well. One thing you can do is set yourself a set of questions and record yourself answering. Once you do this, you can actually self-critique yourself, so you can find out the things that you like or things that you don't like about your answers, and you can kind of see where you've gone wrong. And to be frank, you're going to be your harshest critic. Hope that makes sense. This basically means that if you look over the footage of your interview practice, you'll be able to critique yourself to the highest level. And with regards to interview questions, there are so many interview questions you can find online. I'll link a few websites down below where you can find questions, but honestly, just a quick Google search, even using the student room, you'll definitely find a load of dentistry interview questions. Now, my next tip is more to do with how you behave in your interview. And this tip is to do with your breathing and timing. So what do I mean by this? So with regards to timing, one thing that you can do is take a second to think before you answer any question. A lot of people try and rush into answers because they're really worried and panicky, so they want to just try and answer as quickly as possible. Now, this can be really counterproductive because you might start off well, but as you go in through the answer, because you're so worried, you're going to start forgetting things and you're going to be really unstructured in the way you answer the question. So the best thing I would recommend is take a second before you answer every question. Even if you think it's a really easy question, it's important to take a second to think and process the information that's been given to you. And trust me, this is so valuable. Like, a lot of people would downplay the importance of taking a second to think. And paired up with this, I think breathing techniques are very important as well. And the reason why watching your breathing can be really important is because it can help you calm your nerves. So one technique that you can use to help calm down is the 4-7-8 breathing technique. So the way you do this technique is by closing your mouth and breathing in through your nose for 4 seconds. After this, you breathe out through your mouth for 7 seconds. On the 8th second of you breathing out, you make like a whooshing noise, and that's meant to help calm you down. There's a lot of breathing techniques you can find online. This is one that I searched up and I think works quite well. And if you do these just before you enter an interview, so maybe before each station or before you start your panel interview, it can really help calm your nerves and make you more confident in your interview. So just to summarize, those two together, breathing and timing, can really help calm your nerves. And as a byproduct of this, you'll come across as more confident because you won't be as panicked or scared. Now, my next tip when it comes to coming across as confident is to ensure that you keep eye contact with your interviewer. Now, a lot of people fall into the trap of thinking keeping eye contact with someone means that you have to stare at them dead on throughout the whole interview. It doesn't mean this at all. It just means that when you're talking or whenever you're listening to something, you show the interviewer that you're engaged by looking at them. This doesn't have to be a constant thing, but it should be something that's consciously on your mind when you're doing the interview. So instead of you just staring away and looking at random things, if you look directly at the interviewer, it shows that you're engaged and it shows a level of confidence that you're able to engage with that eye contact. Now, one thing I'd also note is that because you're going to be online this year, you should be staring directly at the web camera, so through the lens. You shouldn't be looking at your screen. So for example here, I'm looking directly at the lens, so it should look like I'm talking to you guys. But right now, if I look at my screen, it looks like I'm looking a bit off center, and it doesn't seem like I'm engaging with you as much. So you should bear this in mind when you're doing your interviews, because you should be looking directly at the webcam or whatever camera that you have, rather than the screen where you see the interviewer. I know it might sound a bit silly, but trust me, it makes a very big difference, and it portrays a level of confidence that you may not show if you don't have that eye contact. So there's a load of questions that you can be asked in your dental interviews. However, most of these questions fall under distinct categories. You can check my webinar link down below where I go through all the different types of interview questions and how you should answer them. But just to state a few that you should be preparing for, these include things like ethical scenarios, role plays, knowledge-based questions, questions related to data analysis, skills-based questions, and there's a load more that you should prepare for. And one way you can be more confident in your interviews is by, number one, practicing a lot, as I mentioned before, but also having examples for each question. And by this I mean you should have a rough outline of what you want to mention in each of your answers for these styles of questions. For example, for skills-based questions, you should have a list of all the different skills, and you should write down some personal examples that you've had relating to these skills, what you might have learned on your work experience, how it relates to dentistry, stuff along those lines. And drafting up different answers and having different examples to relate to will make it easier for you to grasp them in your interview, because sometimes in your interview your mind will just go blank. But if you've had something structured and you've practiced a lot and you have a few examples ready, you'll be able to recall them easier than if you're just answering the question for the first time in your interview. I'd really recommend drafting some answers and having a lot of personal examples or examples you've seen in dentistry that you can call upon in your interview. This will, number one, mean that you can have more concise and structured answers, and number two will mean that if you get into a situation where you forget things, you'll be able to recall on some of these golden nuggets of information at the back of your mind. Now, I'm not advocating for you guys to memorize a load of answers, because that would mean that your answers aren't going to be very good or original, but I do definitely believe in having like a rough outline and some examples that you can call upon. And the final tips I have are going to be more general and easier to apply. This includes stuff like having a bottle of water next to you so that if you do get a bit nervous, you can drink something and take a second to chill. I'd also recommend sitting in a comfortable chair and being upright. This will just put you in the mode for interviews and really get you prepared. And lastly, I'd say make sure that you dress for the occasion. And this means wearing full interview attire. For example, some guys might think it's okay just to wear like a shirt, tie, and blazer, and just wear like jogging bottoms on the bottom. However, I think you should go in your full attire because it will really put you into that interview mindset and really prepare you for what's to come. And again, you might be thinking, how is this relating to confidence for us? This is completely random, but trust me, putting yourself in the mindset for an interview can help with your confidence, as it helps simulate all the practice that you've done at home. On top of this, wearing full attire gives you an air of professionalism and just puts you in the right mindset. That's about it really. That's all I wanted to say when it comes to being a bit more confident in your interviews. I really hope this was useful for you guys, and I'd really appreciate it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below to stay up to date with everything I make. I know some of you may still be a bit worried. If you have any further queries, do make sure that you message me and I'll try and help you out. Thank you for watching.